As you know that we now have the presentation of the Lifetime Achievement Award to the Indian auto industry, and we are very pleased and honored to have with us Dr. Pawan Goenka, Chairperson in Space Department of Space Government of India, with us here. So I would So as we commence the presentation of the Lifetime Achievement Award, I'd firstly like to invite Mr. Ashish Harshraj Kale, and I request him to kindly read the citation of Dr. Pawan Goenka.
Yeah, I'll request everyone to settle down, please. Ruku. Bolo. We'll just wait a minute as people are joining from the concurrent sessions which have just ended for this main program. I love my assignment which was given to me today because I get to read the accomplishments of a person whom I have personally admired over the last 2 decades and more. Dr. Pawan Goenka worked at the General Motors R&D Center in Detroit, USA from 1979 to 1993. He is credited with pioneering research in engine design and development. His methods for the analysis of engine bearings and engine friction are practiced at General Motors even today, 30 years later. Thereafter, he joined Mahindra & Mahindra Limited as General Manager R&D. During his R&D tenure, he led the development of the Scorpio SUV and built Mahindra's product development capability and infrastructure. He was appointed COO of the automotive sector in April 2003, President of the automobile sector in September 2005, and President of Automotive and Farm Equipment sectors in April 2010. Dr. Goenka was appointed the Executive Director and President, Automotive and Farm sector, and on the board of the company on 23rd September 2013. He retired from Mahindra as Managing Director and CEO on 1st April 2021. Dr. Pawan Goenka is often referred to as the father of the iconic SUV, Scorpio. He is acknowledged internationally as an expert in automotive design, development, engineering, and manufacturing. Dr. Goenka uses his left brain scientific thinking to its full potential. His ability to engage his left brain with his creative right brain is what makes him exceptional. Along his career, Dr. Goenka has received several awards. In January 2011, he was honored with the Automotive Man of the Year award by NDTV Car and Bike. In December 2011, he featured as Autocar Professionals Man of the Year. He was conferred the CV Man of the Year by the Apollo CV Awards 2012 in recognition of his extensive contribution within the automotive industry in India and globally. Dr. Goenka has been awarded the 2016 FICITA Medal of Honor, which is bestowed for his particularly distinguished achievement and leadership in the global automotive industry, and he is the only Indian to receive this prestigious recognition. In March 2021, Dr. Goenka was conferred with the Param Shresth Award by Car and Bike and honored with the Lifetime Achievement Award by Autocar India for his contribution to the Indian auto industry. In March 2022, he was also honored with the Lifetime Achievement Award by Automotive Component Manufacturers Association, ACMA, as we all know of it. Ladies and gentlemen, Federation of Automobile Dealers Association congratulates Dr. Pawan Goenka and is delighted and privileged to felicitate him on this day of 13th January 2023 with the Lifetime Achievement Award for the Indian auto industry. Can you just read this?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd invite Mr. Nikunj Sanghi, Mr. Bharat M. Sangvi, and Mr. Manish Raj Singhania to come on stage. Quite a tall order indeed, and we are really, really proud and honored to have His gracious presence with us, Dr. Pawan Goenka. He's one of the iconic gems of the industry. So many congratulations to you, Dr. Pawan Goenka. May I now invite you to kindly deliver the keynote address.
Good afternoon. As the morning program got delayed, my two appearances here got combined into one. So I'll do both the acceptance speech as well as my talk on fit and future ready. So let me first thank FADA from the bottom of my heart for the recognition that they have given me. Coming from dealer fraternity, it means a lot more to me because dealers are the key to success for any automobile company anywhere in the world. I'm also humbled by the revered company that this award puts me in, because I know that FADA is not in the habit of giving lifetime achievement awards, and it's very rarely they have been doing it in the last several years, so that also makes me very proud to have received this recognition from you. Friends, I believe that my biggest lifetime achievement is the strong bond, friendship, love, and respect that I've received from people that I've worked with in my career. And the dealers are on top of that list because I have always felt a certain amount of energy, certain amount of fulfillment whenever I've interacted with our dealers. Of course, more so with Mahindra dealers, my interaction, than rest of you. You are the backbone of the industry. You are the ones who connect the industry to the OEMs. And therefore, again, coming from you, it means a lot to me. I would say that God has been very kind to me, right from the beginning. An opportunity to go to what was then the best engineering college in India, IIT Kanpur. An opportunity to go to one of the best universities in USA, Cornell University. An opportunity to work for what was at that time the most respected automotive company, General Motors. An opportunity to come back to India at the right time and work for a great organization, Mahindra & Mahindra. An opportunity to work for, that happens only for few professionals, work for a project like Scorpio, which redefined Mahindra & Mahindra at that time. An opportunity to move from R&D to general management. That doesn't happen very often to R&D people. And then being able to develop some successful products, some not so successful products, and worked with many of you here to bring Mahindra & Mahindra where it is today. And obviously, I'm very proud with the last 3 products that got launched in Mahindra, the blockbusters, one of which happened before I retired and 2 after I retired. But I had the privilege of starting those projects. And I'm waiting eagerly for the XUV 400, because that will be the last of the project that I had started during my career. And I'm sure that will be on the blockbuster for all the Mahindra dealers. I would also say that I'm proud to see how the auto industry has progressed in the last 30 years. It certainly is a feeling of achievement for all of us who have been in the industry. From a budding industry started in early 90s to being number 3 in sales in the world just after 30 years is an amazing achievement for an industry that is just about one generation. And clearly, dealers have played a big role in this transformation. And not only they have played a big role, you have transformed yourself in this time frame. Those of you who have been in the business long enough, if you compare to your infrastructure at that time to what it is today, if you compare the quality of salespeople, service people that you have, if you compare the training that you're providing, if you look at the processes that you follow today, if you look at the customer centricity that is embedded in each one of the dealerships, you would see the transformation that has happened in Indian dealerships is as impressive as the transformation that has happened to the automotive industry. And I would also say that FADA's role is commendable in this transformation. In fact, I remember the first FADA meeting that I came to was probably in 2006. And what got talked about at that time was very trivial. What gets talked about today is very strategic. And it was very rare to see dealers come in a jacket and a tie. And today I see most of you are wearing a jacket and a tie. So that also is a transformation. The industry has gone through lots of ups and downs during the last 20, 25 years. And I would say that all of you have passed the test of time with a lot of resilience. I would now say that the best of the auto industry in India is still ahead of us, not behind us. And there's so much more excitement about it. So let me now kind of move towards the theme of the day, fit and future ready. So I will start by saying that over the last 22 years that I have been interacting with the dealers, Mahindra dealers will confirm this, that I have refrained from giving gyan to the dealers. And this has happened because of an incident that many of you know, so I will not spend too much time on it. But when I was going for my first dealer meet in 2002 or 2003, my son asked me where I was going. And since you have heard the story, I won't go to the full story. But the last question after a series of questions was, but Papa, you have never sold anything. How do you think you are going to tell the dealers how to sell better? Don't they know better than you do how to sell the cars? And that question really was a very insightful question coming from a 13, 14-year-old at that time. Because sometimes OEMs start thinking that we are telling you how to do well. But all the dealers who do well are not the ones because the OEM is telling you to do X, Y, Z, but because you have been doing X, Y, Z in the right way. And the same goes true for fit and future ready. Nobody can tell you what you need to be fit. Nobody can tell you what you need to be future ready. You know it well. It's only a question of implementing it. Now, I told you that I've never given gyan to the dealers, but I lied. There's one area where I was very passionate about and gave a lot of gyan to our dealers, and in fact, constantly kept repeating it in all the MDP conferences of Mahindra. And that was about customer centricity. You all know, the Mahindra dealers especially, how close to my heart that subject was. In fact, the last award in Mahindra dealerships was always the award for customer centricity, and not for sales numbers, not for revenue, not for market share, anything like that. And this also was the result of one thing that happened way back in 2003, when Mr. Anand Mahindra had put up a chart of JD Power CSI and SSI scores, where Mahindra and another automotive company from India was at the absolute bottom. And that was a shock to me. I said it cannot be. An Indian company in India cannot be at the bottom of customer satisfaction. And that's when our journey started. And though all of you, each one of you in this room, have come a long ways in terms of customer centricity, I especially want to thank my Mahindra dealer friends for taking my call for this subject very, very seriously. The promise statement that you put up in your dealerships, both showroom and service stations, you took very seriously, and today you have transformed to be as customer-centric as anybody else in India. Now, fit for future. So I would say to be fit for future and fit and future ready, you have to still do what you have always been doing. The time for that is not over. In fact, Mr. Pandey still talked about the same things that I've been hearing for the last 15, 20 years from dealers on this, and this you want from OEMs. So that will never go away. You still need to focus on infrastructure, you still need to focus on manpower, you still need to focus on financial discipline. But clearly things are changing. And as I said earlier, I'm not going to tell you anything that you don't know already. In fact, whatever you didn't know perhaps was covered in the Naruma talk in the morning. So there are 5 or 6 things that I just want to touch upon very quickly. The first one is the digitalization of entire customer journey, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. Second one is electrification of vehicles. I'll talk a little bit more about that. Third one is value-added revenue stream. Now, value-added revenue stream would become very important for future because many of the revenue streams that were traditionally there are drying up. And therefore, you obviously have to look at the new ones. What can you do with the connectivity subscription? What can you do with things that are connected to automotive? How do you come out with these kind of things? How do you monetize data? And you all have to think about the revenue streams beyond your sales and service. The fourth item is emergence of used car business as an organized business. And it was talked about in the morning. Many of you believe that that business is going to grow. But I would say that, I don't know if something has changed in the last 2-3 years, but often the dealers took used car as a necessary devil that they have to deal with, and not something that can become mainstream in terms of your revenue and profit. In USA, you know that every dealer has a used car lot, as big as the new car lot, right? And India also, that change has, you are letting the car decos and car trades take away the used car opportunity. Perhaps you need to do a little bit more in that area. The fourth one is emergence of service aggregators, such as Go Mechanic. Now, there are many who believe that they are not a serious threat because the cars are getting very, very complex and the roadside mechanics can never really compete with you. I would urge you not to take it lightly because they cannot do everything that you need to do, but they may take the cream away from you. They may take the sort of low-hanging fruit away from you if you don't understand why a customer goes to that, and that would be something that you have to do for being future ready. The last one is multi-brand stores. That has been talked about quite a bit during the day today. I think the two-wheeler and three-wheeler, people think that multi-brand stores will happen. Four-wheeler think it's less likely to happen. My belief is that India is a large enough market that the OEMs probably would not support. And I'm just saying it as a retired person. I don't know if that's true, right or wrong, but OEMs probably will not support the MBOs because car buying is an experience. And the experience is not just about going to the dealership and talking to the salesperson. It's also about the whole ambience that you create, the connectivity that you have with the brand. So I would put that unlikely, but I may be wrong in that. So let me spend 3-4 minutes on 2 topics that I didn't cover, which is the digitalization and the electrification. Now, this is something that has been happening over the years, digitalization. It's not something that happened all of a sudden. But perhaps COVID has hastened the pace at which this change will happen. from the first inquiry to home installation. Now everything is slowly becoming digital. All the OEMs are developing platforms that cover end-to-end, and all their dealers are becoming integrated in that platform. Now, this change has many implications. And again, all of you would have studied it, so I'm not going to be telling you something new. But the most important thing is that when a customer is walking into your showroom, he knows everything about the vehicle that he's looking at. Therefore, sales story has to completely change. Sales story has to be completely customized for a person who is coming in. And I was even thinking that is there a role for artificial intelligence and machine learning in how the sales story gets developed by the salesperson on the floor for a given customer who is walking in by looking at the customer and asking 2 or 3 or 4 questions. And that will be a very big reskilling that will have to be done for the sales force. Seamless integration with OEMs is already happening, I think. The customer should never know where the OEM ends and the dealer starts. The look and feel of the showroom is always the same, look and feel of websites, everything. This should be very integrated. One of the positives that I see of this is inventory reduction, which I had mentioned 2-3 years ago also, that during COVID by force, the inventory was reduced to some 15-20 days. And I wished that that becomes a norm and not an exception because of supply constraint. And I think that even now the inventory hasn't really gone up too much and remains at a very good level of 20-25 days. But the real test will be when the supply is not constrained. Do OEMs allow you to work with 15-20 days inventory, or do they start dumping on 30th and 31st? Satinder is sitting right behind Nikun, so he can tell you whether he's going to have the discipline even after supply is not constrained anymore. But I hope he does. Physical infrastructure will obviously the need will become smaller because of a lot of digitalization that is happening. The number of people that you need probably will reduce. And what all of this will translate to, I believe, is a positive reduction in the cost of doing business. And my guess is that if everything works right, you could be as much as 150 to 200 basis point lower cost than what you have today, and that could go straight into your bottom line. And the final point I'm going to touch upon is electrification of vehicles. A lot has been talked about that today, so I won't spend far too much time on it. But electrification brings some opportunities and some threats. Your biggest concern that you have expressed and got discussed in the last panel also, that will it take away the service revenue? And that is a real threat that you see. But I think we perhaps are overestimating that problem. Because first of all, the service revenue that is impacted is only about 30-40%, right? There will be new service areas that will come in with electric vehicles also. And the vehicle park of IC engine is not about to disappear. At least for the next 15 to 20 years, the vehicle park will keep increasing and not decreasing. And therefore, the concern on service revenue becoming a problem, I think, is overstated, at least for the next 10 to 15 years. I don't know what will happen after that. But the opportunity that it brings is also the fact that there are swapping battery opportunities, the opportunities for charging infrastructure, the opportunities for really taking a connected car, which will be very strong for electric vehicles, and getting revenue out of that. So there will be a lot of opportunities for those who are looking at electric vehicle in a positive manner and see what we can do with it. So for being fit and future ready, all that you have been doing in the past to be fit has to be done, and lot more new things that we just talked about and others talked about during the day will have to be done. So I will sum up and end my talk by saying that global auto industry is right now facing many challenges, no doubt about that. But I think Indian auto industry is actually in a pretty good shape. We have had, as everybody knows, the best year for passenger vehicles last year. Some segments are still struggling, but they'll all come back. Many opportunities that we have for future. We have to have the conviction that there is a long-term growth of the industry in the right way, in the responsible way that will come. The government of India is very supportive of auto industry because they know and they admit that auto industry is the pillar for economic growth of the country in every regard, whether it's tax collection, whether it's employment, whether it is R&D development, capacity, investment, everything. So friends, even though we have had ups and downs, I hope the next 5 to 7 years will not see any down cycles, so that you can recover from the scars that COVID has left behind. And I would be watching from the sidelines, cheering you all with a bottle of or glass of champagne in front of me, and not worrying about having to sell or create or manufacture any vehicle at all. I once again want to thank you for my association with you for the last 22 years. This is my I just want to say this is my last formal interaction with you, but I hope that I'll be able to continue to meet some of you informally, so that I can keep connect with the industry that I love so much and that has given me so much. Whatever I am today is because of this industry. And the reason Government of India chose me to work in the space sector also is because what I could do, whatever little I could do in the automotive industry. So thank you all for lifetime support that you've given me, and for recognizing today for Lifetime Achievement Award. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Goenka, for speaking from your heart and always guiding us from your rich and deep experiences. Knowing Dr. Goenka, I'm sure you would have achieved a whole host of new achievements in the next few years, and I'm sure the Government of India will now have to have a new award for him, especially for all his new achievements that we are sure he will be achieving in the next few years.